What's up, guys? It's Bulldog. Uh, been thinking a lot. It's like 7:30 in the morning or whatever, and I was thinking to myself, um, about the book I was reading, um, taking responsibility, and I've struggled with this, and the book put it in an interesting way. The book said that you always take responsibility. Your past and your future was always in your hands, and here's why. And I was, in my mind, I'm like, well, that's not true. There's so many things I could blame, and it'd be correct. The book is like, no, you're wrong. Here's why. Whenever something happened, it could be whoever or whatever's fault. You at every time, you had a responsibility to make a choice. You could change yourself. You always had that option. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, okay, so I don't know if I like that, but the book's reasoning was, hey, you may not like this. You probably won't. But the point of this is to give you back your power. If you take responsibility, you say, I always had responsibility at every choice. That choice is all along. It gives the power back to you, psychologically. So I'm like, all right, I see this. I see where this is going. Some of the things that bother me specifically is like, oh, here I am trying to be an alpha male, acting like an alpha male, whatever. Well, that's all great. I've got feelings and how things should be. That's great, but that's irrelevant to the fact that I always had choices and responsibility along the way, and that I always will in the future. Um, so it's good for me to say that, and it makes me think about like bad choices, bad decision making. Yeah. Another thing about the book is talking about and mentioned was, in relation to what I just said, was that a phrase that God gave me the ability to make decisions. The decisions aren't always the right decisions, but God gave me the ability to make decisions and go back and make the bad decisions right. So trying to correct your wrongs. That's what it was talking about. And it's one of the things I struggle with and I think about. I'm struggling with right now. Is that like, well, kind of with all the responsibility and the choices and the people and the myself, it's just like, where if I feel like something's wrong, like, am I just feeling like it's wrong? Is it actually wrong? When is it actually wrong? Um, Clearly, there are some things that will always be wrong, and that, I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about, decision making, um, and how it affects my feelings and, you know, feelings of others, but primarily my feelings, because I am responsible for myself right now, and I know there's a lot of different strategies that people have adopted as far as like how and how much responsibility they have for either themselves or for the world. And for me personally, it's like, well, I want to have, I feel like I'm naturally connected, which I am, to so many people. And if I do well, and take care of myself and be kind, which is the important part, then I can just prioritize my own life, take care of myself, and go about my day, being kind to others. But I don't know if that's working so good right now. Like, as far as critiquing myself, I am pretty. It's kind of like an open door policy as far as like making friends and stuff like that, which is it makes sense. Like being a spiritual leader, being a person who maybe not has the option to turn it off, so to speak, and having people gravitate and associate with me. So that in that way, I built that philosophy. That makes sense for me. But like, I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of certain things, but then I remember that, there's a lot more bigger picture things out there. So perhaps that's why I'm struggling. But back to what I was saying: responsibility, being responsible, and making choices. And I keep reading this book. I think it's very helpful. Talk about the spiritual people in my life, call them my goddesses, the females. How I'm grateful and praise their help in my life. Uh, I'll go ahead and say this right now. Clearly, I don't. I want to be left alone, and things are the way they are, and I'm not going to complain about that. But I'm going to take responsibility myself and make my choice of wanted to, kind of be left alone, even though I'm clearly not able to do that, being a spiritual person. So, anyways, responsibility, praising the spiritual people in my life, being part of the spirituality, and two-part system, I feel like. It's like myself, trying to take personal responsibility, and not to mention all the supernatural stuff, vampire stuff, and talk about supernatural separate subconsciouses. Like, I'm not here to make things difficult. Like, I'm not trying to make it too complicated, but I want this side of my life to prosper. I want to be able to effectively take control and responsibility of certain things, so I can better, make better choices. So I am prioritizing building up that part of my life right now, and yeah. So, all right, y'all. I appreciate you for letting me talk, and I want to get going.